What's up, YouTube? This your main man, AB the Hero, back again with another video. And today I wanted to spend some time talking about the last Vytautas game where my boy LaMelo Ball had the worst game of his time in the LKL. Alright, so now I want to start by saying this. That game, the last game versus Lietuvos Rytas, I missed it, right? It was at 10 a.m. on Saturday, I think, and I wanted to get up and watch it, so I missed the beginning of it. And then as I was trying to connect to it, just the connection was bad. The game was frozen, and I just could not get it to play, alright? But I kind of was following the game via, like, just kind of checking in on the stats. And as I was watching it, I was like, damn, like, this game is not even close. So then at the end of the game, I clicked over and I got the final box score, right? And if you follow me on my Twitter account, you'll see that I posted it here. And I was checking it out here, and if you see, your boy LaMelo went 1 for 9 from 3 and 1 for 6 from 2-point range. 17% from the field from 2 and 11% from the field from 3. So I was like, damn, boy, he had a terrible game now. So I know before that game I had spoke about, like, yo, in order for them to win, I feel like they got to play the kid LaMelo some heavy minutes and, like, really get him in there, get the offense going, give this big baller brand style of offense a shot, and we'll check it out. And I feel like they had a chance at winning this game. Now, what I also noticed right away from looking at this box score was how many players got over 10 minutes. And that's kind of what my tweet was about, was like, at this point of the game, when you got games that you need to win, like having a rotation of 10 men deep, all of them playing over 10 minutes, that's not the recipe for success. Right now for Vytautas, this is the playoffs, right? In NBA, when they get to the playoffs, they breaking that thing down to an 8-man roster. When they were in London, your boy LeVar had 7 people who played that game, and that's how they went out and got that W, because you play folks who understand the system and they're going to get it going. So I was thinking to myself, man, when you got 10 people playing, it's hard to catch a rhythm, especially when you streaky volume shooters like LaMelo and them. Like, when they playing with LeVar and Big Baller Challenge games, they playing the entire game and they continue to shoot. If they get cold, eventually they get hot. So I was looking at this and I was like, yo, he just had a pretty bad game. Even from the free throw line, he was only 40%. All right, so what I like to do is I like to wait, and then I try to catch the post-game interviews, because a lot of times there's some good information in there, and I like to hear what the coach Seskis says. All right, so Seskis had his post-game interview, and as you know, he does not speak English, so I would play it here, but neither one of us would understand it. But the cool thing is here, this dude Ramnus, or what coach is, he always translates those post-game interviews. So like I said, follow him on the Twitter and be a part of that, because he always tweet that stuff out right away. And then check me too, I tweet a little bit myself. But so in this interview, what I found was interesting is they got to talking here about LaMelo Ball and his struggles, you know what I'm saying? And the coach revealed something that was a little bit alarming to me here. He says that today he wanted to let him play and show that it's hard to play against more powerful opponent. They play in those tournaments of theirs and score 40 each. Maybe it's late now. All right, so let's see. Lithuanian basketball, anyone cannot just come over here and play. All right, so I let him play more today for them to see that playing this style of basketball that they want to play, you will lose every single LKL game. All right, so now when I read that initially, to me, I was like, okay, so for one, first thing stood out to me is, oh dang, did they play this big baller brand style of offense? Like, that's cool. Like I was interested in seeing these highlights and seeing what that looked like with Cesca's running that offense, because I know LeVar was out of town that day in Seattle with the JBA tryouts. All right. So now, but what I really looked at that and I noticed is that it sounded like that was a setup. It sounded like he went into this game with the intention on setting LaMelo up to struggle, right? I went in this game to show him that you can't play like that versus more powerful opponents. He went into this game with the intention, this style of basketball that they want to play, you will lose against every LKL team. He wanted to show him that just anyone can't come over here and play in Lithuania. So it didn't sound like, to me off the top, I caught that it didn't sound like that was a game that they were really trying to win. When you look at the final score, and they lost by almost 30 points, and you have a coach saying, well, I wanted them to see that you can't do that, right? And he talked about earlier in here, this was like an experiment game, right? So I was like, all right, but I still wanted to see, and I was very interested in what that looked like on the court, right? So I go over to the LKL channel here, and they have a video titled LaMelo Ball has his worst game in Lithuania. All right, so now when you have the head coach who's saying here, you have a head coach who's saying like, yo, anybody can't come over here and play. And if you do that, you're going to lose every single game in the LKL. Now you got the LKL league saying LaMelo Ball has his worst game in Lithuania. To me, some things sound a little bit fishy. So now if you watch this clip here, now we can get the analyzing some game footage. Now I'm not 100% a basketball aficionado. Football was my favorite sport of trade. But I'm looking, all right, you got LaMelo wide open here. That's a great shot. But now let's look at this. And this is one. Now, he did have a bad game. He missed some shots that we've seen him make. And he, you know what I mean? He's a streaky shooter. But you got somebody driving. You got a wide open. He passes out. You got LaMelo for a wide open three. All right, now let's say that this is 3 minutes into the first quarter when we see LaMelo here. He did not start this game. All right, now we see a little. This is the kind of thing that I thought was interesting. This is where it started getting a little weird. All right, so we see the little pick and toss off to Melo. Now he 1-on-1 in the lane. We got Jello down in the post. Now if you start to watch on these offensive sets, they're not running an offense when Melo is at the top of the key. You got four people in the game with Melo, right? Now this one here worked because they double teamed off that screen, and you had a pick and pop, and you got the dude wide open for a three. Melo finds him, right? Bam. So now they did the screen, wide open for a three. Melo finds him. That's how the play's supposed to run. You go here on defense, and defensively, man, he's 16. He definitely got to get his weight up and move around a little bit. Now we got the screen again. We got this. The pick and pop didn't work. And now if you look at the offense, you got 4 guys standing on the three-point line. The whole team standing on the three-point line. That's not an offense. Now you got 1-on-1. So now this is the part where, yes, you would think that Melo would kick it around. But if you got a coach who just said that he was telling him, yeah, play your style of offense, you got him feeling like, yo, I need to go 1-on-1. So now he pulls up, clanks it. Now, if you go through here, you see that the majority of these plays with Melo. Here we go again. Now we got a cutter here. And then this is, like I said, he had a bad game now. And now this is a typical Melo 77-footer shot that didn't go in. But you go through there, you'll see what I'm saying, man. It's a lot of sets in there where you have him on the wing with 4 different people, and everybody's just standing there watching him. There's no movement in that offense. Now, the thing is that he takes those crazy shots, right? But we've seen him hit those crazy shots. If you remember back when they played Žalgiris, which is the best team in Lithuania. So when he says he wanted to let him know that he couldn't play versus like that versus strong opponents, it didn't really make sense because he played versus Žalgiris, who is the best team in the league. And I don't know if you remember, but LaMelo had the #1 play of the league for that month when he hit 4 3-pointers in a row here. So, and then if you look at these shots, it's the same shots that he was taking in that last game a lot of times where he's just jacking it, but this game he was hot. So it's tough. So the strategy I feel like the Ceskas had going into that game of I'm going to teach him a lesson right here, it to me just shows you that the coach is not coaching his players to win. I feel like if you got a team and you stuck with this team, you have to figure out, all right, let me utilize and I'm going to play to all of y'all strengths and we're going to go out here and get a W. This ideal of like, yo, half of us is going to run this offense and we're going to send you out there to do whatever you want to do is not going to work. Now, also, if you go back to if he was really experimenting and trying to run this big baller brand style of offense, you can look at it here in the first possession shows you how different the big baller brand style of offense is from the offense that we watched LaMelo running here when you got everybody kind of just standing around watching him take shots. Now, I will say that when you go through here, you'll see that when Kevin Bristol's in the game and Jello, you see a much better fluid offense happening through here with those two in the game. So it feels like if there was some sabotage, there was a couple folks who may be involved in it, and there's a couple people who didn't know what was happening. But there's a long stretch where you have Melo on the court without Jello or without Kevin Bristol. So right now you see the pick, you see Kevin Bristol roll to the basket, stop, Melo finds him. So now when they engage in some type of movement and some type of offense, you see Melo getting buckets or you see him drawing fouls. But when it's just stand around and everybody just watch me dribble, you see him making a ton of ridiculous plays. Now, I'll admit they definitely ridiculous. But let's watch this first series here where you see standard Melo taking a really terrible shot, but you see the difference in offense between the style that Ceskas wants to play in the big baller brand offense. Now, this is the first tip-off of the game, all right? So this is where the game starts. Let's check it out here. So you see Melo gets it, takes one of them deep shots, misses it, right? But now the difference between the big baller brand style is now look at they go straight into defense here. Turnover, kick the ball up the court, Jello takes a 3. Cash. So now the difference between in LeVar's style is where we want to get up as many shots as possible. You see that Vytautas in the first 10 seconds of this game has already taken 2 3-pointers before the London Lions could get the ball up the court one time solid. All right, that's the big difference. Now, even if you really think about this, now there's a clip. Now I want to show y'all because you can go check this video out. This is a dope video here. It's a dude named Pure Kicks, and they basically were like had media passes, and they were behind the scenes during that London clash, and so that's a dope video to go check out because then they have highlights from the game, but then they also talk to people and they kind of have their own commentary too throughout it. It's pretty dope. But then I want to go here real quick. The thing that I also found to be very interesting, right, is before this is another video by a dude named DNA Kicks, and this is a clip of the London Lions before the game talking about Vytautas and LeVar Ball coaching before the game, and he's kind of giving them some strategy on, hey, like this is what we got to do, and listen to his description of the big baller brand offense.
You know, Coach Buck and I used to say, put yourself in a position to be in a position to be in a position to be successful. That's what we're doing.
Amen.
All right, with the kind of guys that we have right now, we're putting ourselves in a position to be successful. All right, you guys have put the work in, that's why you're here. All right, I don't know what those guys are like out there. All right, dudes coaching. All right, the real coach is sitting in the stands, dudes coaching. They're big, but they're not deep.
Oh, that was a dope quote, and you heard him say that the dude is coaching LeVar, and Ceskis is sitting in the stands. So
what they will do, they're going to go hang. All right, the brothers are going to hang around. They don't know you can come back on defense, number one. Number two, they'll all shoot the ball. We know they do. And number three, they'll pass the hell out of the ball. All right, so if you don't talk and you don't get back, they're just going to make boom, boom, boom buckets. So we all have to talk. Someone's going to be back at all times so we can recognize. Okay? Go out there, let's be successful.
now he said, now this ain't the best type of offense that you want. And this is the same thing that people love Lonzo for in the NBA, is like, yo, they're going to get the ball and they're going to pass it up the court, and if we don't get back on defense, they're going to get a bucket. This offense that you see here versus Rytas, this is not that offense. This is not, they're going to pass it up the court really quick and they're going to try to get a bucket. This is, oh, now you see that good defense by your boy Jello though there. Now, I also want to go here because he also mentioned in his comments about them playing against top, like if you an LKL game, like an LKL team. Now, so the London Lions game, you seen Melo and Jello go off for 40. Melo had a triple-double, but to his point, that wasn't a Lithuanian team. That was not a that was a, I can't remember the league that they're in, but obviously the competition level isn't there. So now when you see in order to see the Big Baller Brand offense in motion versus a Lithuanian team, because it has happened before. I don't know if you remember when LeVar, the first time he stepped on as the assistant coach, he stepped on versus Dizukas or whatever that was. And that's when we seen LaMelo go for 43 and LiAngelo Ball go for 37, right? And the same thing. If you look at this offense, you see people cutting to the basket. You see, look how quick he takes that ball out. They up the court already. And they pushing it and one. Or not and one, but you see the foul. The pace of this offense is not the same pace that they had LaMelo playing this other game. So now, if you have one player trying to play at this pace, and then you have a whole rest of your team trying to play at this slow pace, of course he's going to have a terrible game. Because in order to get the shots up, he ISOing. But this here, and this is something also that I think is interesting, because Dizukas is an LKL team, and I want to say, I might have the standings pulled up here. And they are currently, I want to say, 6th place right now in the LKL. If I can find the tournament table, maybe that's it. Dizukas, yes. And this was that 8th place here. So it's not a team that is like 100 times better than Vytautas, but they do have 9 wins to Vytautas' 5. But they won that game in the Big Baller Brand Challenge here. We seen LaMelo was 43, 8, and 10. Final score 47-40, 147-142. It was a good game from both the brothers. Everybody on Vytautas' team in this game was eating. Some folks on their team was eating as well. But you see that this was an LKL team, and the Big Baller Brand style of fast-paced offense definitely worked against them. So it's not that it can't work. It's just that everybody has to be on board, right? If the coach is out here and his intent is to run this offense, but for it to not work, it's not going to work. And when that happens, the one player who is out here doing his own thing, because you say, hey, do your own thing, whatever, Also, let me go here too because I want to touch on this. This kind of got a little crazy here to the end. They asked him, did he regret the balls coming, right? And then he talks about how, and this is why he did this game, is because as we know, LeVar is back doing JBA work, so he like is talking about now, you know what I'm saying, the pressure's off. He's a little bit relaxed that the father is not around, and the father he couldn't try to force them to do things with LeVar there, but now that LeVar's there, so now LeVar's gone, so now you want to set LaMelo up to have a terrible game. That's what I took from that last comment here. But we'll see. LeVar will be back, and hopefully we'll be applying some more pressure, and we can see a LKL game where they running that big baller brand style of offense, because I feel like they've got some talent on this team, but it's just a matter of everybody getting on the same page. They're definitely not on the same page. There's something in here where they were supposed to have a team bonding exercise this past week, and they end up not being able to do it because some players decided to go to London and some decided not to. So that's kind of interesting, man. I really want to see how many of y'all on, and we can see who is let me see if I can pop this thing here out for a second. Oh man, it's not. Yeah, so let's see, man. Let me know what y'all think. I'm gonna grab the chat box here, see if we can get some. I want to hear y'all thoughts on this. Alright, like Lonzo and LaMelo boys to work, breaking down on defense. Darth Maul, what's up? Sports Inside. Angle, what's up? Ralph Casino, what's up? Devontae Bartholomew. Shoyan Gibson, what's up? Roy Cooper, what's up? Rain Clem. Alright. Sean Gibson. Oh, and that's another thing I was gonna mention. What I thought was funny about the DeJesus game is that their coach, after the game was over, made this almost a similar excuse of like, oh well, yeah, well we lost, but we weren't really trying to win. Where he said that oh, you know, it was a friendly game, so it didn't matter, so we didn't really care if we win. To me, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. The game is the final score of that game was 147 to 142. At the end of that game, you should be trying to win. The ideal of, oh yeah, we lost, but we weren't really giving it all we had. To me, that's crazy, especially in a close game like that. Man, it's supposed to be, I had it set up. Man, what the thing? Let me see if I can get here. Nope. Let's check this out though, man. I'm gonna pull this laptop here so we can get this interaction via the chat window. Let's see what you got here. Seskis. Alright. This needs new players also. Some of those guys are not worth it. This is something I talked about in the last video. Yes, the crazy thing about that is the budgets. The budgets for all of those teams are so different. Where in the LKL you need to at least have a budget of, I think, $400,000 to be an LKL team. But then you have like, so Vytautas meets the minimum requirement of having a $400,000 budget. But then you got teams like Lietuvos and Rytas who have multi-million-dollar budgets. So realistically, that's like having Alabama, like the football team, Crimson Tide. That's how Alabama, the Crimson Tide, play against like a 1AA school, being in the same conference. It's like if you moved I'm from Florida, so Bethune-Cookman is a historically black college, like a 1AA school. If you put them in the SEC and you take Alabama, who's got a $20 million budget, all different types of facilities, and you say, yo, y'all compete against them. So like even in these games where it's remotely close, like that is a testament to some of the players and the folks on for Vytautas' team, that they would even be in a position to make it that close, because budget wise all of these games should be a blowout. I feel like, let's see, all right, showdown round, you're right, but I feel like Ceskis is not trying to sabotage LaMelo and Jello. I don't think he's doing it purposefully, right? I think that obviously there's some tension. There's been tension there with LeVar this entire season, and I feel like he may be slipping into the same, like, I don't like the kids, or like I don't know about them because LeVar is making it difficult. You know what I'm saying? I could see. I feel like that may be what's causing some of that, but I'm not sure though, man. I don't think that he like got some ill feelings for him, but I'm telling you, there's like interviews where he talks about LaMelo and how talented LaMelo is, and how he had God gifted him with this ability to play basketball, and speaks so highly of him. So then it's kind of crazy when it's time to get on the court, and we see LaMelo don't get the shot like everybody else gets. So to me, is that to me is extremely interesting in itself. But let's see. Ceskis threw LaMelo to the Wolves here for sure. Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. I think he threw him to the Wolves. I think that he was even ready to get to the press conference and say, oh yeah, by the way, I did that on purpose. You know what I mean? And I think that when you have a 16-year-old, right, who's already up against it, playing against a ton of adults, not Ceskis' son. I don't think that he's an issue at all. Ceskis' son likes playing in LeVar's style. Even LeVar's talked about that before. But I think when you have a 16-year-old who's already up against it, he's playing against a bunch of adults in Lithuania, right? You bring him over here, he's all this hype surrounding him. And I think that when you have a coach who then is also trying to kind of feed him to the wolves, like who wouldn't have a bad game like that, right? That's like if you had if you were at work and your boss didn't want to see you do good. There's a promotion coming up and your boss is doing everything he can to stop you from getting that promotion. Like, you gonna feel some type of way. You gonna feel like, damn, I don't even want to go to work today because of this. You gonna be at work not doing work if you got a teacher who is out to get you. You know what I'm saying? That's just the way I feel about it, man. I think it's a lightweight setup, man. But we'll see though, man. I think moving forward, I would love to see your boy Melo. I would love to see them at least one time realistically sell out and try this BBB style of offense. Now, I will say that I think that if they were trying to win, they need to do something different. If you are a team who has a $400,000 budget and you're trying to beat a team who's got a $7 million budget, $7 million players, and you're going to try to beat them at the same style of basketball that they're used to playing, like, that's a losing mission. You're going to lose that. You have to be the team who's going to do something different in order to compete. You got to get them out of their element. If you got all of these players with D1 experience and all of this and all of these long list of accomplishments, and then you're going to go in there and try to beat them at their game, like, to me, that's ridiculous. You have to be willing to try something else if you really, 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 really want a chance at winning. And I think that that's what they need to do. LaMelo does need to start getting sleep and get focused. you know what, man? That's possibly true, but I will say that I think that realistically, they're professional basketball players, right? So there is not that much outside of like I'm going to the court to play basketball, and then that's it. If LaMelo was a surgeon and he needed to have his whole brain right and his hands steady because he got to go do some brain surgery in the morning, I would say, yo, he need to focus. He need to lay off the candy. He need to be doing whatever he needs to do to make his body and mind operating at optimal levels in order to go do brain surgery. But the kid is going to play basketball. He's been playing basketball longer than a doctor has been in college. You know what I mean? Like the kid been playing high level basketball, and I say high level as in he's been playing up with kids older than him or people older than him and adults older than him his whole career. So this ideal of what he's doing now is not that crazy, because when he was 12, he was playing against grown men. The difference was that when he was 12 playing against grown men, they weren't saying, hey, you 12-year-old, we want you to play like you're a grown man. They were saying, hey, you're a 12-year-old, we want you to spot up in the corner and knock down threes. You don't have to go in the lane. We're going to adjust the offense so you can thrive here. And I feel like at some point, if they're going to be on a team, somebody going to have to make an adjustment. Luka Doncic. I feel like is that the dude? He was Luka Doncic. Is that the guy who he really wasn't playing too many minutes, and then they started playing him recently after I think LeVar got him in the game a couple times with some of them challenges, and he started balling. Let's see, man. I want to see if anybody else got anything. Melo plays good with Senska. I think, yeah. I would say that. Let me if I could pull up this roster real quick. I feel like there is a couple of guys on the squad who they thrive with when Bristol is in the game, Jello is in the game, Senska and what's his name, Reggie. How many is that? Jello is pretty much everybody who played in that London game. Let me see if I can find. I think I had that pulled up. Did you all see the scorecard from the London game here? Let's see. And this is what I'm saying too. Let me pull this real quick. In this London game here, this is the box score from the London game. If you look at this, now they came in here and they got a pretty decisive win. You know what I'm saying? 110 to 127. But let's see how many people. LeVar came in here with 7 people who got in the game here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you had only 6 of them get more than 10 minutes, right? To me, that's, if you want to win, you got to be able to do that. What I see happening a lot of times with Cescas is he seems like he's trying to please everybody. Even in his interview here, you go down here and he's talking about how, you know, the other players see it and they feel some type of way, and so I'm just trying to make sure everybody happy. Like, I get it, you know what I'm saying? But like, bro, you gotta. This is basketball. If you're gonna be a head coach on the elite levels, you can't be worried about making everybody and their mama happy. You gotta be out here, you gotta be worried about trying to win games. I feel like after the first time they played, I think Rytas, the coach from Rytas came out and said, yo, they actually have a really good team and they're gonna be a threat to a lot of people, but something happened in there and they fell off. This is when I feel like that little bit of success, they couldn't handle it. And then they just became divided after that. Because I think the Rytas game, and then did they win the next game after Rytas? Or it was either before. They either won a game, the one game that they won it before Rytas or right after. I see LaMelo play Fortnite online. I truly do believe the coach needs to try to grow a relationship with him. this is what it is. This is a big thing that people always say is relationships. I'm sorry. Rules without relationships equal rebellion. That's true across the board. Rules without relationships equal rebellion. So if you're going to start trying to coach somebody and tell them, like he said in this article, force them to do something, you start forcing people who you don't have a bond with to do things, especially if they strong people, they're going to rebel. And in order for you to get them to do it, you're going to have to start treating them in a more ridiculous way. And like and I feel like you're not going to be able to treat LeVar's kids the way that you would have to do in order to force them to do something without fostering some type of relationship. I think that's one of the reasons that they fell out earlier on, is because Cescas had a semi-relationship with LeVar, right? So it's the same thing. You got LeVar who comes in with his own ideas and all of these things, and he's building relationships with everybody, and then somebody eventually, and how he felt like they stabbed him in the back, threw him out of the window, and he was upset about it. So I don't know, man. I think that I'm excited to see where this goes, man. I think I thought that they would turn it around at some point earlier and have a much better season, but it seems that there's too much turmoil, too many egos, too many cooks in the kitchen. You got the actual LeVar Ball and you got the LeVar Ball of Lithuania trying to put things together, and that just didn't work out. So we'll see, man. But I'm gonna hop off here. It's your main man, JBA, and back next. I want to say LaMelo might be playing in the JBA. If you notice that the Los Angeles team, they only picked up 7 players for the Los Angeles team. And so I think that LaMelo might be the 8th player. So, but I'm not sure. And did you see they got a 4-star recruit out of the whole deal? The number 37th small forward in the country signed up to be in the JBA LA team. So that'll be interesting. The kid LeVar already promised, like, yo, if you come in the JBA, you give it a shot, you play, things don't work out, they got a job potentially for you within their Big Baller Brand enterprise. So that's a better deal than like any college can give you right now. They can give you a scholarship, but none of them can guarantee you a job on the other end of that, unless you want to be like not even, they can't even guarantee you a coaching job. They got so many players, they don't have coaching jobs for everybody. But like I said, man, I'm finna hop off of here. This is your main man, AB the Hero. I'm out. Peace.